Diablo 3. In Diablo 3, one item in particular became an auction house masterpiece, Echoing Fury. At first glance, it was just another one-handed mace, until players realized how broken it was with perfect stats. When Blizzard launched the Real Money auction house, players could buy and sell in-game gear for actual cash. One Echoing Fury with top-tier stats ended up selling for over $14,000. That's more than a Harley-Davidson. Some players were outraged. They felt it turned the game into pay-to-win. But for others, it was an opportunity. People started farming items full-time, treating the game like a digital gold rush. Blizzard eventually shut down the Real Money auction house in 2014, citing concerns about gameplay integrity. But the damage was already done. That one weapon proved players would pay absurd amounts for even the chance to dominate. It wasn't just a mace, it was a symbol of power, prestige, and the early chaos of monetized loot. But this was just the beginning. Things were about to get even more expensive. Entropia Universe. Most games let you buy a house. Entropia Universe lets you buy an entire asteroid. In 2005, a player named John Jacobs, better known as Never Die, spent $100,000 of real money to purchase a virtual nightclub on an in-game asteroid. Sounds insane, right? Well, it worked. He turned it into a business, charging other players rent, hosting events, and even selling ad space. Over time, portions of the property were resold, and when you add it all up, Club Never Die has generated over $6 million in real-world transactions. That's not a typo. It became one of the most expensive virtual properties in gaming history. Jacobs claimed he was building a digital entertainment empire, and some people actually bought in. Entropia blurred the line between MMO and marketplace, where your avatar could literally become a landlord. For a while, it was the wild west of digital capitalism. And the craziest part? The game's currency was pegged to the US dollar, so this wasn't just play money. Club Never Die proved digital land could be just as valuable as the real thing. CSGO. In CSGO, skins don't have any change in gameplay, but that hasn't stopped them from becoming one of the game's biggest flexes. At the top of that flex pyramid sits the legendary AK-47 Case Hardened No. 661, also known as the Blue Gem. This is a one-of-one pattern with a nearly full blue finish on the weapon's main body, a look so rare that collectors treat it like an art piece by Picasso. In 2023, a private buyer reportedly offered over $500,000 for the weapon, but the owner declined, saying it was worth even more. That's $500,000 for a virtual rifle. No damage boost, no speed buff, just pure aesthetic. But in CSGO's massive skin economy, rarity and pattern are everything. And thanks to gambling sites, crate openings, and a rabid collector community, some skins have become straight-up commodities. This isn't about gameplay anymore, it's about bragging rights. And if $500,000 sounds insane, just wait. The next item on this list came from literal holiday trash, and now it's worth a small fortune. RuneScape. Back in 2001, RuneScape handed out paper party hats as part of a Christmas event. At the time, they were worthless, literally. Most players wore them for laughs and then trashed them. But over 2 decades later, those same hats are now some of the most valuable items in the entire game, with some selling for $10,000 or more. Why? Simple. Rarity and nostalgia. Jagex never re-released the hats, and most players didn't bother keeping them, making the supply ultra-limited. There's no stat bonus, no hidden feature, it's just a colored paper crown. But it's also a sign of status, a digital relic that says, I was here when it all began. In the game's economy, it's become a flex piece, almost like wearing vintage Jordans in a room full of Crocs. Hardcore collectors will pay insane amounts just to complete their in-game fashion sets. It's pixelated holiday trash turned treasure. And speaking of treasure, our next item wasn't just rare, it was literally broken, and that's exactly why people wanted it. Dota 2. In Dota 2, most couriers are basic cosmetic add-ons, little creatures that run your gear back and forth. But one stood out, the Ethereal Flames Pink War Dog. It was never meant to exist. Due to a bug in the game's item generation system, this courier spawned with a rare Ethereal Flames effect layered over an already rare Pink War Dog skin, a combo Valve never intended. Only a handful were ever created before the glitch was patched. That accident turned it into one of the most coveted items in Dota history. One was sold for over $38,000, and rumors say some collectors were willing to offer even more. Valve refused to reintroduce it, which only drove the demand higher. Unlike most items on this list, this wasn't carefully crafted or sold in a flashy bundle. It was a mistake, and that made it even more legendary. In a game where skill is king, owning something this exclusive was the ultimate flex. But not every pricey item comes from a bug. Some are hidden behind paywalls and trading cards. World of Warcraft. In World of Warcraft, mounts are everywhere, but the Spectral Tiger is in a league of its own. Originally released through the WoW trading card game back in 2006, this ghostly feline wasn't something you could earn in-game. You had to buy physical card packs, pray for a rare loot code, and then redeem it online. And if you pulled it, you hit the jackpot. Today, sealed loot codes for the Spectral Tiger have sold for up to $60,000 on eBay. That's more than most luxury sedans. It's not just rare, it's iconic. The mount is translucent, glows in motion, and immediately signals that the player riding it is either an OG or very wealthy. As WoW's player base aged and disposable income rose, so did the value of its rarest collectibles. The Spectral Tiger became a virtual status symbol, but that wasn't the only time a crossover item caused chaos. The next game partnered with a smartphone company and somehow turned a cosmetic skin into a full-blown resale market worth thousands. Fortnite. In 2018, Fortnite teamed up with Samsung to promote the Galaxy Note 9. Anyone who bought the phone got an exclusive in-game Galaxy skin, a cosmic-looking outfit that quickly became one of the most sought-after cosmetics in the game. But here's the twist. People weren't buying the phone for the tech. They were buying it just to get the skin, and then reselling their accounts. Entire Fortnite profiles with the Galaxy skin were going for $5,000 to $20,000, depending on how stacked the account was. Epic eventually cracked down on account selling, but by then, a full resale economy had exploded. The skin wasn't just rare, it was untouchable. No item shop re-release, no second chance. It became a flex not just of wealth, but of timing. And for kids chasing clout on the playground or streamers wanting to stand out, the price didn't matter. The Galaxy skin turned mobile marketing into a black market gold rush. But digital clothing wasn't the peak, because someone once dropped 6 figures on a virtual island. Second Life. Second Life isn't a traditional video game. It's more like a digital society. And in this world, real estate has real value. In 2010, a player known as Anshe Chung made headlines after amassing an empire of virtual land and flipping properties for massive profit. One of her largest investments? A digital island that eventually sold for over $635,000. That's more than a beachfront condo in some states. The island came complete with custom buildings, commercial rental space, and full-blown community zones. Users paid real money to lease property, host events, or open digital businesses. It was the earliest glimpse of what would later be called the metaverse. What made it even wilder was that this wasn't an NFT or some crypto-fueled trend. This was early 2000s internet, long before meta or blockchain hype. And yet people were already treating pixels like prime real estate. Anshe Chung even claimed to be the first digital real estate millionaire. And while Second Life may have faded, the idea of buying and selling virtual land only grew, especially in games that haven't even fully launched. Star Citizen. Star Citizen is a game that hasn't officially hit the market, but that hasn't stopped it from raking in hundreds of millions through crowdfunding. The crown jewel of its digital storefront? The infamous Legatus Pack, a bundle that costs a jaw-dropping $48,000. What do you get for that price? Over 100 spaceships, countless in-game items, and early access to certain features. But here's the kicker. You can't even see the pack unless you've already spent $1,000 in the game. That's right, it's a gated digital product for the ultra-invested. Supporters say it's a way to fund development and reward superfans. Critics call it predatory, pay-to-win nonsense for rich space nerds. Regardless, it sells. And it sparked endless debate about the ethics of monetizing games that aren't even finished. Star Citizen has essentially turned into a luxury brand, where owning a rare ship is like parking a Lambo on your digital driveway. As wild as that sounds, it actually happened. Age of Wushu. In Age of Wushu, a martial arts MMO set in ancient China, one player made headlines for winning a one-of-a-kind virtual sword and paying $16,000 for it at auction. This wasn't just any weapon. It came with exclusive buffs, unmatched stats, and a glowing visual effect that made it instantly recognizable in-game. But more importantly, it was truly unique. There was only one in existence, and that made it a symbol of dominance. The auction was part of a promotional event hosted by the game's publisher, Snail Games, and it instantly sparked controversy. Some players accused the developers of selling power directly to the highest bidder, turning the PvP-heavy game into a digital class war. Others didn't care, they just wanted that edge. And the buyer? They didn't just flex the sword, they dominated with it. In a world where duels determined social standing, this wasn't just a cosmetic purchase. It was status, strength, and spectacle all rolled into one. But looking back at this whole list, one question still lingers. When does a game stop being a game and become an economy? Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.